April Mahoney Brains. How are you? You are at the spot. Let me show you where you are. You are right here. The place where the conversations are pointed, the guests are sharp. There she is. And the responses are never dull. We're going to Virginia Beach, Virginia, and we're going to talk to Karen Thomas. Karen has so much to share with us about resilience and bouncing back. How it appears to be a struggle, but if you work with the right people, have the right mindset, and temper yourself, it can be effortless. You have to learn to be able to bounce back. Karen has stopped her business 3 times and started again with a fresh new approach. People love her, they follow her, and we're also going to ask her some questions about her daughter's wedding. She just got married. She thought I forgot. No way.
No,
Let's welcome her to the edge. How are you, Karen Thomas?
I am great. I am so thankful, April, that you are giving me this opportunity to, be here and to connect with your audience. It's a privilege and an honor to bring this information and my story to your listeners.
Well, again, they are sitting there at attention. People love podcasts because they're independent news sources from
Mhm.
people that are on the ground floor, real people. They're not fabricated. It's not a script that is read by mainstream media professionals. This is really heartfelt and heart centered. Tell my brains a little bit about you, Karen, and how you show up in the world.
I show up as authentic as I can with my heart, truly wanting to help others. Um, as a child that was deserted when she was 2.5, my dad left, and I was raised by a single mom who was a teacher. And being a teacher's kid has a whole different realm of stuff. But we had to pick up and move so many times, and I've had to start over in my life so many times. When my daughter was born with spina bifida, it was the next biggest heartbreak of my life. I wanted to be pregnant, worked at getting pregnant. And when you have a baby that all of a sudden you're having a C-section and they take her out and they said, okay, we Mr. Hart, step out here. And they proceed to tell him that there's a problem.
Mm.
And my baby was moved to the children's hospital within 6 hours after she was born. Hardest 5 days of my life spent in a hospital that I couldn't see a baby in a maternity ward. You learn how to pick yourself up and you
Wow.
say, okay, this is where I'm at now. This is, I'm not going to have that bouncing child that's going to be going to the playground and going, mommy, mommy, watch me. Not going to have any of that. But what can I do? What is my purpose now? If God gave me this, then I'm going to take this and do the best I can with it.
Mm-hmm. Go
I'm
ahead.
going to, my job is to raise a productive human being. Well, then that's what she will be. She's going to be a productive human being. Nothing wrong with her brain. She just can't walk. So
Exactly.
that was the first real pick me up. I've had lots of them, but the second thing is 90 days to the day that I went back from maternity leave, my job let me off. They how do you look for another job when you have a baby that's going to physical therapy, you have a baby in clinics and doctor's appointments? So I had to go to work. I not only lost a paycheck, I also lost our insurance because you know
Right.
how important insurance is these days. Well, back
Back then,
in
it was that pre-existing condition.
condition, exactly, that pre-existing condition meant that if we ever lost insurance on her, she could be not denied insurance if we ever pick insurance back up. So not only did I lose my paycheck, we incurred a new bill that we had to pay. Needless to say, we had bought a house the year before, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I don't know. It was a couple of years. And so we had to sell our house. We went to live with friends. And I had to figure out how I could make extra money, how I could start working from home. And so it was just a work in doing different things. And I settled finally on being the Avon lady. I had been the Avon lady before I had children. I've always done sales. Anybody do the sales in school? You know, the fundraisers, do the donuts, do the candy bars. That I was top sales. I loved making sure that I got my part of the fundraising done. So whatever we were trying to have or go, I was in the band and we traveled.
Mm.
So being a go-getter has always been part of my MO. But how do you now have a life that you have a human being that is not what you expected and has all of these different, there's no handbook for children, period, right? But there's especially not one on how you raise a special needs child.
Mm.
How do you raise them to be productive and, and about themselves and know that they can do whatever they can do.
Right.
So
And
I
you
used
know what? And instill in them that, okay, you are different, you are unique, but like you say, you still have to be an independent contributor to society. You're not going to lay up
absolutely,
here like lunch meat and not do anything. You know?
absolutely. I didn't let her get slide. She was not, she had to do all the regular, she was mainstreamed in school and she did not get reduced work. I made sure she did everything. I said, because you go to a job, you can't say, oh, I'm disabled. I only have to do half of it to get paid.
Mhm,
No, that's not going to fly.
mm, mm, mm.
So the whole process of raising children is a challenge for any parent, especially first time mother. You know, you're just already nervous to begin with, and then
Right?
add that onto it. But I used to tell her my biggest thing when I was raising her was everybody is disabled, everybody is handicapped, everybody has issues. We just can't see most everybody else's. They're kind of hidden inside.
Right.
Yours we can see
And
on the
those are the ones
outside.
those are the ones you need to really be concerned with is the ones that don't surface. I want to go
That's
back
it.
and ask you a couple questions because you mentioned something, and I think when we were talking in the green room before about Avon. Avon
Yes.
was one of the best multi-level marketing. Yes, brains, it was an MLM.
Yes,
Uh
it is.
that was wonderful. And they used to give these little miniature lipsticks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and when do they still do that?
Don't think so. I don't. I still am the Avon to a few select customers
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm all about multiple streams of income, and
Absolutely.
when you
Absolutely.
have a base, I still access it. But
But
Avon was
it
the
was
first one.
wonderful. It was the
Oh,
first
it
one. And
was.
then Mary Kay picked up the gauntlet and she mimicked that business model. But it taught, and I'm saying women, it taught a woman that, you know what, you can have it all.
Yes,
And
you
you
can.
can build a successful business. You can build a team. You can be a mother and you can work at your own pace. You can make as much as you want or as little as you want. So
Yep.
that's a powerful statement within itself. And you have a child that has special needs. Did this
Right.
impact your marriage and your relationship? Because a lot of times, couples break up when they have a child that has special needs or is, sometimes disruptive.
Absolutely. Yes, it impacted our marriage quite a bit. For one, financially, because for a while, and he had just gone into business the year or something before in his own business, his hit himself. But the biggest difference is that parents don't learn how to parent together, stand together, believe together. There were things that he didn't, we fought on how independent. I wanted her to go to school. He said, well, I didn't go to school early. I'm like, here's a child that has no social skills because she's at home. She can't go running around the playground. I want her to go to preschool.
Mm-hmm.
He said he wouldn't do that. So I got on my little bandwagon and I started just selling more Avon. I said, okay, now not only do I need gas for the physical therapies and the Tootsie Roll and the drink that was her reward, I said, I now need to get her in school. If he's not going to pay for it or help me or believe in me, I knew this was the right thing to do. So yes, we had parenting differences, and I I was raised by a strong mother, a single parent mom, and I didn't back down. I believed it was right. There were a lot of issues. She started driving. He didn't want her to have a vehicle. I believe she should have a vehicle. I helped her get a vehicle, helped her learn to drive. I would let her, the one of the biggest arguments we had was, I think when she was like 15 or 16, I would let her go out in the neighborhood in the evenings. Let her be, let's go out. And he would have a fit over her just going out. I said, if she were normal, she's 15 years old, she would not be sitting in this house. How many
Mm.
15-year-olds do you keep locked up in a house?
Right, 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 right. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I
And it
just,
also you wanted her to have some sense of normalcy,
yeah,
you know? So as
yeah.
time progressed and you were successful in Avon, where else did your careers take you?
Well, my Avon, became top seller. I became top seller in my state, in my city, and I was
Wow.
in the top 50 within Avon, for even the whole country. I won the National Spirit of Avon Award in 1992, in Hawaii. I won trips. I won lots of different things. When my daughter had to have back surgery, because part of spina bifida is scoliosis, and when she had back surgery, it went really, really wrong. What was supposed to take 6 months took 2 years. I had to shut my business down. So there again, we shut something down. And it's like, okay, what do I do now? Well, she was allergic to penicillin, and she ended up being allergic to the metals in the rods that they put in her back, and they had to take them all back out. And she got an infection. She had to go on penicillin. They had to do what they call a where they work you into the dose that you need to be, but she could have gone into anaphylactic shock at any point. So I was sitting there by her bedside. I said, oh, God gave me my children first. I shut my business down. Things were going wrong. Me and my husband had filed for divorce. And it was just a really bad time in my life. But I was dedicated for my daughter to get well and get back on track with her life.
With all of these
So
sacrifices that you made for your daughter, how did you
I'm
find,
sorry.
I said, with all the sacrifices that you made for your daughter, how did you find the resilience and the bandwidth to still love and believe in yourself?
Who believes in themselves? I was too busy trying to survive. About myself. Myself didn't exist. It's not until I got into my later 40s and 50s that I even realized that I should believe in myself. That it was in, coming back to Avon, because I came back to Avon, and then Avon got sold, and me and Avon had a disagreement, and they just freaking closed my account. They
Mm.
just they just decided that me and them weren't, and I'm like, how can they do that? I'm selling over 50,000, a year when I came back, and they just said nope. And they said, we don't have to give you a reason, and they just shut my account down. And I'm like, okay, even in yourself, when you pick yourself up enough and you finally realize that there ain't nothing that can happen that you haven't survived in the past.
Yep.
When you pick yourself up enough, you start saying, okay, no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. I've made it work all these different times. I'm going to be okay. And you start saying, whatever I do, I know that I'm tough enough, that I'm smart enough, that I can work through it.
That you are
And
enough,
I just,
period. A lot of times people think that they're in an empty container when in actuality it's overflowing. You
it
just have
is.
to look into yourself and say, hey, I got to make this happen. I can't
That's it.
sit up here and be the victim or be in victim mode. I may have been victimized, but it's not over until it's over. and
Right.
you have continuously had to do that. Building a team. Tell us a little bit about building a team, because with Avon, not only were you doing the product, doing the sales, making the numbers, but you were also encouraging and motivating others to come along with you. Uh,
Well, the interesting thing about Avon is that before I ended up shutting my business down with her back surgery, um Avon really did not have team building as it is now known today. It was back where you turned the names in, you found people who might be interested, and you turned it into the manager. And the manager, Avon required that the district manager, do all the appointments, and they did the training, and they had the sales meetings. They did all of that.
hmm,
So I'm an out of the box thinker. When you tell me what is required, then I find a way to put it and accomplish it. So I ran ads in the newspaper. I found all kinds of ways to find people who were looking to make money, and
wow.
then I would turn them in. But like anything else, you have your people that when you turn things in, they kind of take from you. And it would get really frustrating. When I shut my business down, I lost almost, I want to say almost $800 a month in residual
Wow.
just from my recruiting, because I was one of the top recruiters. But the thing is, you have to invest in ways to do stuff. I ran ads. I
Mm,
ran ads in the help wanted. And it today we need to talk to people. We have Messenger, we have, technology, we have ways to make videos. Today, I've invested in learning to do social media because I don't want to ever become irrelevant.
right.
I like multiple streams of income. I want to be able to tell people about what's working for me, what things I've tried, or and make recommendations for programs and for platforms and for this and that I'm using for me to be making money, for them to be making money. I'm about empowering women, especially because we've been at a disadvantage for over 100, well, since womanhood, because
Okay.
marriage
Since
was
the, since the caveman was dragging us by our hair, girl, we've
there.
always been, but now it's a revolution.
It
It
is.
is a revolution. Women have not been uh this powerful, this strong, this dedicated, and collaborating since the burning of the bra and the right to vote. We are
Exactly.
on fire right now.
But a lot of us were not prepared from school, from birth, from playing with dolls. We were taught, and our expectation was to nurture anyone and everyone in the family. We had a role to play. We weren't even allowed to have a checking account by ourselves for our business until after 1980. If you look at the progression of what women weren't even allowed to have businesses, be a main business holder until almost the 1990s. So
Mm,
we are behind in even now, even though we're on fire, we still haven't generations and generations of empowering our children and our young girls to be powerhouses like the men are. We weren't taught to be assertive. We weren't taught. I observed a strong woman, but I wasn't taught to be a strong woman. So I learned that when you want something, you go after it, because my mother didn't have a way to provide it. So when I needed extra money, I went and mowed lawns. I went and babysat. I did all kinds of things
it's
that
called
I
getting
could to
it's
try to earn
called
money.
getting your hustle.
That's absolutely.
And people don't do that. They I've always had, well, I've had my own business since I was 5 years old. And I'm 62 right now. So with that said, I know the power of the grind. So many people become complacent. They feel that there's a sense of entitlement. It used to be that you would work for a company or corporation and you'd be there minimum 10, 15 years. I
Yep.
was reading in the
Not
Wall Street
today.
Journal, if you are with a company 8 years,
That's it.
there used to be pensions, 401ks. No, now you have to be smart. Medi-Cal, uh, who knows where that's going to end up. We've worked our entire life and paid into these establishments, and for what? To get a $174 bill every month for something that you thought, I've given my blood,
Yep.
sweat, and tears. What do you
Right.
tell young entrepreneurs? What do you tell young people that are on the grind about tenacity and about resilience and hanging in there and being smart and strategic and saving your money?
Well, I tell them at this point in my life, I wish I'd have learned it a lot sooner. I've manifested a lot of different things because when I was building my business, I would think on things. I didn't listen to the radio. I listened to audio books and things by Brian Tracy and Tony Robbins and Dale Carnegie. I listened to the masters and read the books Think and Grow Rich, the science
Oh, I
of
love that. I listen to that every year. I listen to that, and every single time there is a brand new nugget. I thought I
it
had,
is.
and it's so
You,
timely, so
it
timely.
is timeless. So at this point in my life, what I teach now is I have been trying to make it happen and been physically, out there hustling and doing. But there's so many people when you learn how to tap into energy and you start thinking on and spending more time being intentful with your words, with your positivity, with where you want to go. Before I was just surviving. I was just trying to get each weekend all the orders in and then all the orders delivered and it was just a rotation. Now I look at where do I want to be in a couple of years? And
Mm,
I'm starting to think on what kind of life do I want? And now I'm letting the universe and the power of energy create where I want to go. I'm not working hard anymore.
mhm.
And life is flowing to me because I've changed instead of me trying to create it all, me trying to shape it and to make it, build it. I'm letting the master build it
Mm, mm, mm.
and the master bring it to me because I'm getting clear on where I'm going and what I'm doing. I
Absolutely.
decided I wanted to have my mom have the best last years of her life. She turns 92 in about 6 weeks.
Mm,
And for the last 3 or 4 years, I've taken her on a road trip every year because she loves road trips.
mm.
And I want to make these last years special, as special as I can with the problems of aging. And that's a whole nother side of not taking care of your health
Right.
as you're working. I have to say, I found a couple of unique solutions. At 66 years old, I have no health issues.
Mm,
I found some of the keys to when you have a special needs child, and especially one with spina bifida, when they tell you that a deficiency in folic acid could have contributed to her birth defect.
wow.
You said, what? Deficiency? A deficiency I could have caused this? But see, the thing is, it happens with at the third week of after conception. You don't even know you're pregnant at
Right.
that third
Right.
week.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
you get on those vitamins, those prenatal vitamins, about a month to 6 weeks after you already been pregnant. It's
Mm,
already done.
wow.
But I said, there's a pill for that. I don't have to be deficient in anything ever, ever, ever again.
Mm, mm, mm.
So I've been doing
What are you?
supplements
So what are
for
you doing
45 years.
now? What are you doing now with your career and with individuals? Where is uh your
My
plan,
focus
your
is
focus?
my focus right now is teaching the power of energy, the power of not trying to create it and build it with nails and boards yourself.
Mm,
Teaching people how to use the energy and the power that God gave us, that God said we had. Have the faith of a mustard seed and you
what?
can move a mountain.
What? Yes, ma'am. Speak on it.
So we don't have to be building it. I was a lost person building it by hammering and putting nails and boards together for almost 40 years. At this point, my mom's going to be 92. I'm 66. I got another 30 some years. I'm going to be trying to provide value and walking this energy and having life bring me the abundance that I need. The only thing that we have to do is be of value. We have to bring value to and exchange it for the abundance.
That's right.
And so my value is locking arms with entrepreneurs, helping them keep their head above water and encouraging them to bolster their self esteem. Because when you work on yourself, everything else falls into place. You have to work on yourself. If you work on yourself 90% and only your business 10%, you will be a millionaire
Yeah.
because
And again, it will flow effortlessly
yep,
because in your mind, there's an expectation. You know, I'm a firm believer in NLP, neuro linguistic
yep,
program, and self hypnosis. I can take myself down.
yep,
Before I go to bed at night, I thank the
mhm,
good Lord. I ask Him to bring me the highest and greatest good. What else is possible, and how can it get any better than this? And I chant
absolutely,
those things until I fall asleep. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm grateful. Gratitude
absolutely.
is latitude, and it will change your attitude.
It
People
changes
are not
everything.
grateful. Here, you know, folks are some ungrateful buzzards.
This
They,
is true.
and you know, and just a simple. Nobody wants you to grovel. Nobody wants you to kiss their tail. But I want you to. I want you to say thank you. I appreciate. How can I pay it forward? What can I do for you? Recognize the blessings that you have. If you have a sandwich and you have the ability to cut it in half, that means you can share. But people are so
Absolutely.
ungrateful. What do you say to the ungrateful people?
I just, well, I don't get ungrateful people in my life because, for
Mm.
one, the power of intention and the energy that I put out there, those kind of people take the long road around me. I got kind of got like a force field. And the thing is I have a mentor that says, you have to just allow them to be who they are and say, you are the example. You cannot convince anybody to do or be anything they don't want to be. So all you can do is be the invitation to a better way to think, better way to live. And if they don't accept it, then what is it? Bless them and release them, kiss them and let.
Yep. So let's ask some fun questions about you because I want people to know you on a more relaxed level. Um, Firstly, how did it feel to be all dressed up and see your daughter in a wedding gown, knowing that she's had these challenges that she's had to overcome, but now she is starting her own life, independent. How did you feel inside?
Oh my God, I cried. I gave up on. She was 41 years old when she got married last 3 weeks ago, and but I always prayed for her to be happy.
Mhm.
If you it's marriage isn't for everybody, and she's in the church, and as long as you can find happiness and be well, not find it, happiness is within you, but as long as you can live happy, that is everything. And I prayed for her happiness, and then she met this most wonderful man that has made her his wife. And I am so I'm so grateful. I am so thankful because I love that she gets to have and experience this stage in life,
And
being loved and cherished,
that
and
person,
having a partner to solve problems with.
and but you know what? And again, I commend him because that's a special kind of love
It
that
is.
looks beyond the metal in the back and the two wheels that she has to mobilize on. He looks at her heart, her mind, he looks into her eyes and appreciates the woman that she is. And, you know, it's different. I'm not going to say it's a sacrifice because he didn't have to do it. She didn't have
No.
to, you know,
And
but they found one.
she's kicked a lot of them to the curb. She stood up for herself. And if nothing else, that is what I taught her by not saying divorce is the best thing, but their daddy said, why couldn't you wait till they're 18? I said, because they're girls, and I don't want them to feel that if they make their bed, they have to lie in it.
Right.
I said, when you're miserable, when you're unhappy, you pick yourself up and you change things.
Absolutely.
That's why we got divorced. I have told her, I said, things have a way of changing once you say, I do. Men quit dating their wives, men quit courting them and making them feel cherished. And women are, we are nurturers and we just throw it all out there until we burn ourselves to the ground.
Mhm.
And then we look at them and say, well, when's your turn? And
Right.
if you didn't teach him that he had a turn before you got married, you is not getting it once you're married. So
Absolutely. So it can be tough.
it
So
is.
if you had an opportunity to go back and have a conversation with a 25-year-old Karen Thomas, what would you say to her?
I would tell her to stop working so hard, that it was all going to work out, to love herself more, take more fun. I planned a lot of adventures for my kids. Um, during my time, I would work hard, I would plan. I took them to Disney. It took me 2 years to save and do the money and coordinate for us to have a family vacation at Disney. I did that. I felt like having those special times, I'd do more. I would have planned a whole lot more of them. Every 6 months, we'd have been doing something fun. I would have made more fun time
Okay.
for Karen and for the family, and not worried about it.
Right.
The business will take care of itself. When you take care of you, when you invest, I would have invested in getting rid of some of my baggage a whole lot sooner. I've
Right.
worked hard the last 15 years to get rid of. I felt like when I got divorced the second time that the only common denominator between my two marriages was me.
Mm,
So as much as I had reasons for leaving them and divorcing them, I had just as much reason to work on me.
absolutely. And you owe
So
that to
I've worked on me.
you owe that to yourself. If you were an appliance in the kitchen, Karen Thomas, what appliance would you be?
Well, the new me would be the microwave.
Oh shoot.
Okay. Because 1, 2, 3, and it's done. Ah, 1, 2, 3, magic. Hot. It's
I
done.
love it. I love it. That's cool. I chose to be the air fryer, but the microwave is pretty hot. I like that.
You
If you
know, I
were
just,
a
you
car,
stick it in, you kind of push a couple buttons, and then presto,
done. It's done.
it's
You were a
done. It's
car.
done.
What kind of car would you be?
I would be, because my next car, my next car is going to be a Tesla. I want to be totally green. I want to be um part of the new wave of getting around. Now, of course, I grew up with the Jetsons, and I've been looking for that flying car for a long time.
It's coming. It's coming. Absolutely. It's coming. If you were
Yes.
an animal, what animal would you be?
I tell people, they when you go through a lot of trainings, they ask you to find your. We just did with speaker training, your spirit animal, and I decided that my spirit animal was a snake. And the reason I wanted to be and felt that a snake was because um, a snake is quiet. It really doesn't want to have anything to do with anything that's not what it's after. And it pretty much minds its own business, but it's, it sneaks up and only takes what it needs.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something about that because you're the second person that has said that to me ever in life, and I ask that question often. I was working in corporate America, and I interviewed this woman, and I asked her the same question: If you were an animal, what animal would you be? And she said she was a snake. Well, I looked at her with a side eye, but then I asked her to define it, much like you said. She said she came in low. She knew how to strike. She could grab her prey, squeeze out of it what she needed, and she would shed the outer layer of the things that no longer served her. I hired her. Now, I strategically placed her, believe and trust, but she knew who she was and she could identify. And the snake is a symbol of new beginnings. So, people think that it is satanic and it's the serpent and all that. It can be in certain situations if you've got to go there. but so could be a lion, so could be a hawk. They're predators as well.
Right.
So people have to understand, if you can identify with who you are, that's the most important thing. And that's why I ask those questions, is it gives me an insight, but it also is very revealing of what you think about yourself and how you position yourself in the world.
Well, it's part of who I want to be, who I'm growing into being.
Right.
I was very, and if you'd have asked me that 20 years ago, I'd probably have said a dolphin or a horse or something else. But
Mhm.
see, the thing is who do I want to be? Who am I growing into? Because in order to have riches and wealth, you have to be a different person than you are today. If you don't have riches and wealth today, the reason you don't have those is because of who you are. If you want different, you have to become different.
Right. And you are
And
who you
I bet
and who you hang around, your circle of influence. You can't
exactly.
be hanging around with the low hanging fruit brains.
Mm-mm.
You've got to be the one at the top of the cherry tree.
You have to be okay
Because
with being by yourself, being the snake by yourself. They don't hang around together. They're loners. This is part of the journey of the entrepreneur and being a leader.
mm, well, that took a lot of courage. Please tell my brains how to get in contact with you, Karen Thomas, and if you have any current offerings or affiliations that you'd like to share with them.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I am all about getting rid of limiting beliefs because there's so many of them that we are brought up with. So if you take my quiz dot today, www.takemyquiz.today, you can learn whether your limiting beliefs are causing your stagnation or your lack of uh, success in your business. I have a YouTube channel. Of course, it's YouTube /at a better life is a choice. Every day we have a choice of who we want to be and can move into. So my YouTube channel is www.youtube.com /at a better life is a choice. And of course, I always give a free consultation. I'd love to talk to you, and you can schedule with me, KarenThomas.live. www.KarenThomas.live. That puts you right in touch with me. And of course, if you go to my Facebook page, Karen Anderson Thomas, I have my phone number there. You can also reach me on Facebook at Karen Anderson Thomas.
Well, I'm going to put all of her contact information. Brains, go back, and if you need a shot of, or should I say, an injection of resilience, love, positivity, and determination, you're going to get it right here. Um, and thank you so much for being on the edge. Brains, go in, love, like, share, and subscribe, just like Karen. I want you to subscribe to my channel. Karen's going to subscribe to my channel. Also, you can find us on all the social media hotspots: LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Blog Talk, yada, yada. But really, take some time just to sit down and assess where you are. And take that same amount of time, if not more, to assess and ascend to where you want to be. Thank you so much, Karen. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
And tell your
Thank
daughter,
you, April.
we said bravo and congratulations.
Thank you, April. I appreciate it. And I look forward to, connecting with any of your family and your listeners. I'm here to serve for the next 30, 40, however many years. I don't believe in retirement. So I'm going to be here telling you you can do this.